You felt it. You were scrolling through a wall, through a body, a family that no longer exists. And then the very next post was a girl doing her makeup. And you kept scrolling. That moment is what I'm going to talk about in this video. Welcome back to Serena's Playbook. That moment, that almost collision with your senses and the collision with the senses of our audience as brand communicators, it is not by accident. And it's definitely not a glitch. It didn't just show up on their feed or our feed by coincidence. And it's definitely not serendipitous. And I've covered this in another video, citing research and a paper written by Cotter et al. I believe it's 2022. It was something I was diving into for my current dissertation research for my master's in systems thinking. And I believe they called it algorithmic conspirituality. So you can look that up. It's either on this channel or my Median Political Commentary channel. So it's not by accident. It's actually the architecture of the algorithm. The feed now is designed to place the absolutely unbearable next to the mundane until you and our audience can no longer tell the difference. If you feel yourself going numb, I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. And that's why it's so important to do this video. And that's why it's so important I'm merging my worlds of digital communication and my median political commentary, analysis, and synthesis, because there's far too much synergy that we need to be aware of in order to become much more savvy as consumers, witnesses, as I'll speak about today, and communicators, commentators, creators. So that moment that I mentioned, that collision, it's definitely not an accident. It's not just happened because, I follow these accounts. The feed has been designed to almost place the unbearable next to the mundane, so that you can't tell the difference, so that you and our audiences start to go numb and become desensitized. Almost unwittingly, we normalize this. And I want to say, you are not the problem. As the audience, you are not the problem. As a consumer and the user, you are not the problem. You are simply responding exactly as this particular system has intended, this algorithmic system has intended. But here is what I really would like you, and I need you to understand as consumers and communicators. This numbness that we have entered is most definitely not neutrality. It feels much more like a test, and I am willing to bet that it is an experiment with our human nature. I have not got a conspiracy hat on. I have a critical hat on. Numbness is a withdrawal from our own humanity, from our senses, from our compassion, our empathy. And in a world that depends on our disengagement, that actually profits from our passivity, numbness is therefore not a problem. In fact, it's required, and it can even be a political tool. That's right. It absolutely can. And that's why not only do we have to resist and fight it as audiences, as consumers, but most definitely as communicators, brand communicators, and creators. And we have to do it deliberately, we have to do it structurally. And so here is where we start. Before interacting with anything, or indeed creating something, it's good to put yourself in the mindset of the architect, the creator as well. But let's look at it from an audience perspective. Before interacting with anything on your feed, before sharing it, before liking it, before even just scrolling past, give yourself 3 seconds. 3 seconds to actually see the human on the other side of the screen, even if the human is performing. 3 seconds to see what's going on and what's potentially going on behind the scenes. Ask yourself that question. And this isn't to process the information or to react to it, it's to witness it. This ability to witness, this opportunity to witness has been taken away from us. You can even extend this to binging Netflix, binging shows, and everything being designed for second screen viewing. We're not even observing completely. So our audiences are challenged because we are challenged. As brand communicators, it's really important we know this. We were not designed to consume the suffering that we are seeing on our feeds. We should witness it, because unfortunately the feed has turned us into consumers, and we have to intentionally choose to become witnesses again. Let's talk about strategy, because this can be seen as a professional crisis as well. Creators and brands, I think, are making a catastrophic mistake right now. They are trying to outmaneuver, out loud the chaos of the feeds, the chaos of content, with more content, more chaos, more frequency, more virality, more noise, and they are losing. Why am I saying that? The competitive edge is no longer being unique. The competitive edge has now become volume. In a world that feels like almost like a fever dream, in a world where people cannot tell the tragedy apart from the trick, the trend, the tip, the most valuable thing we can offer and that you can offer is attention. But that's been taken. So what's next? Well, if it's not attention, then it has to be our calmness. In fact, and I'll bring my holistic practitioner background. As some of you may know, I've been a yoga teacher for more than 15 years. It is our groundedness. It's our groundedness, our ability to stay grounded and to take a step back and take it all in. And as I continue to study and do my dissertation research for my systems thinking masters, earlier on I came across this concept of bricolage and the bricklayer mindset. And I think this bricolage mindset, which I've spoken about so much, this idea of using everything at your fingertips, all your skills, all your talents, your entire repertoire, is very much a creative mindset, but it's a holistic mindset. So this groundedness is available to us if we allowed ourselves and allow ourselves to be holistic, to not shut off those parts of ourselves that make us into more interesting humans. So if your communication feels like it belongs, unfortunately, in an algorithm or a TikTok trend, unfortunately, that's happening. All of this nonsense that our Gen Zers, etc., are doing. If you have a communication style, a way to engage that is informed by an algorithm, by a social media trend, it sounds like it was built for a feed rather than a person. And, if that's what you're giving into, then you've lost. Because now I think the new return on investment, the ROI, it's got to be something different. It's got to be something different. So I put in this ROI um, thing through my LLM and I got something back, and it says instead it's reliability, originality, and impact. And, putting in my thoughts and ideas for what I want to talk about, it's interesting that the LLM in this case, I think it was Claude or ChatGPT, one of them, came back with, well, how about this? Reliability, originality, and impact. I've just done a post on my Substack and on X, I believe, no, mainly Substack, talking about, please, goodness me, do not rely on an LLM to do your writing, do it yourself, because I'm coming across bloggers and influencers and commentators having blogs written for their Substack, and it's written for them, sorry, for their Substack by an LLM. This is no good. I can see right through it. Communicators can see right through it. And I don't want to unfollow these exceptionally creative, wonderful, interesting I don't want to call them thought leaders, journalists, if you like, commentators, etc. But this isn't just lazy. You're robbing yourself of a process. Writing is very rewarding. So, a new ROI, a new return on investment, its reliability, its originality, its impact. I agree. I might change it slightly. Reliability, yes. Being original, yes. Impact, okay. How about intuition? How about innovation? How about your instinct, the human part, right? Rather than a metric. So, are you someone that people can trust to mean what they say? Do you walk the talk? Are you saying something that could only come from you? Are you leaving people in a better position after finding them? Because I think that is the way forward. That is the playbook. Welcome back to Serena's Playbook. I am Serena with more than 20 years in communications and media. I am in academia as well as the arts, and I'm here to help you level up your strategic thinking, your critical thinking as communicators, as creators, as entrepreneurs, as students, as consumers, as an audience. Here is what I want you to do, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do. But here is what I would like you to do, is to audit your digital environment, because it's a high stakes asset. So many, I love this. I love hearing how people are precious about their feeds. And they'll say, no, I have a good friend who says, I'm only going to follow cat accounts because I don't want anything else popping on my feed. Bravo. Bravo. That's fantastic. You need to audit your digital environment like it is a high stakes asset. If you want to tune out from the world of politics, media, critical thinking, all this nonsense that we live in, then do not follow me on Instagram, friends and family. I'm sure you do, but don't like it, don't engage with it, because you'll get more of it, even though I mix it up. So if you feel like the content, your feed is making you numb, then it's essentially removing your ability to feel, to think, and to respond. It's a liability. It's not something that's helping you. It's not your asset. So you need to treat it like one. This is one of your assets in your life, your feed, the things that you come across routinely, continuously, consistently. But also as a creator, perhaps audit your own voice. Are you speaking to people, perhaps in the DMs? Are you engaging with them, or are you just performing for the audience? that exists somewhere in the algorithm. I know as communicators, we have that from time to time where we are thinking, oh, this could do well because it's good for that trend or that audience. I've been there, I've done it, especially with one reel recently, something like 50K views on Instagram. It's not happened in a long time. And suddenly I thought, oh, maybe I do need to speak a little bit more on the South Asian diaspora female woman experience. Felt engineered after that. The take that I did without a script, without my portable sort of Bluetooth mic, just happened on the fly, was under a minute long, and it was punchy. It worked, but I don't think I could rinse and repeat it. Doesn't feel authentic. So, are you performing for an audience that exists somewhere in the algorithm? Perhaps one that you've never met. Don't let the speed of the feed, the speed, vroom, all the speed make you a spectator as a creator. That's the absolute worst. My dissertation research is in how political commentators, particularly digital political commentators, are influenced by algorithms, by AI, and how it takes away from their synthesis and analysis. You don't want to become a spectator when you are a creator. Don't be a spectator in this world, not in your own work, not in your own life. How are you staying human? Because everything is moving at twice, thrice the speed that it absolutely should. We weren't designed for this. Your audience aren't designed for this. As a creator, as a communicator, you have a role to play. We have a role to play. And I want to know, please let me know in the comments your thoughts on this take. And it's been wonderful to have you here as subscribers and supporters of the channel. Please continue to support it. I always have short takes as well as these longer takes available and tutorials. But for now, it's been wonderful to have you here. I'm Serena. This is a playbook, and I will see you in the next one.